This is the G-Bus compressor from DIYRE, which stands for Do-It-Yourself Recording Equipment. And this is a modern VCA compressor that you can either buy or build yourself. Let's talk about that. When the people from DIY Recording Equipment reached out to me asking me if I wanted to review their G-Bus compressor, I immediately said yes. And when they asked the question if I wanted to have an assembled one or build it myself, I chose to build it myself. First of all, so that I could make this time lapse, and second of all, because I simply enjoy building my own equipment. However, you don't have to build such a compressor yourself if you want to have one, because they offer pre-assembled compressors as well, just as you can buy any other compressor. Just, you know, functional out of the box. And this actually made me realize that the DIY Recording Equipment name is a bit weird, because you can also see it as a normal compressor that you can build yourself for a discount. Alright, so let's talk about the compressor itself. It's a pretty straightforward compressor. As you can see here, we have the compression 4-pack here. We have makeup gain, separate makeup gain, and a bypass switch that just bypasses the compressor. It actually, as far as I know, it disables the control voltage. And these are the controls that a lot of VCA compressors have. However, on this one, we have a few extra features. We've got a sidechain filter, so we can filter out the low frequencies. We can use a balance type of filter on a fixed setting, and it has an external sidechain feature, which is of course really nice to have. We can mix, and we can also separately disable this. We can make the sidechain mono. This is a whole thing in VCA compressors, where the original DIYRE compressor had a mono sidechain, and later on they made modifications so that you could make it into a stereo sidechain. And they both have their own way to responding to the incoming sound. A last cool thing that's on here is XFMR, and what this does is it adds a transformer to your audio path, which you can then drive using this knob. So it has 3 different drive settings. So a gentle, medium, and pretty wild. What is good to know is that the makeup gain is set before this drive section, so you can drive it a bit more using the makeup gain. Now let's listen to this a little bit. One of the things that this thing is being used on a lot is on the drum bus, so let's try it out. Fast attack, fast release, high ratio, compressor is on. There we go. So you can really squash drums with this pretty easily as well. Very nice. Very, very nice. Now what we can add now with, like, I don't know, something like this is the transformers. So if I now increase the makeup gain, we're getting some extra sound. I like it a lot. And we can of course mix this with the dry signal. Dial it back a little bit. Like that. Another thing we can use it on, of course, is just on music, on a more laid-back setting. Ratio 2:1. Let's do fast release, slow attack, something like this. I don't know. Mix is disabled. Transformers are disabled as well. Let's remove the low frequencies from the sidechain. You were beautiful, just like a flower. I could walk with you for 1,000,000 miles and my feet would not get tired. Where you go, I'll go, winter or summer. I don't care the seasons change, 'cause darling, I'll stay yeah, it really sounds as you can expect from a VCA compressor. Now, as you can see in that clip, I have another VCA style compressor that I also built myself a few years ago. I'll link it over here. And the circuitry is of course a little bit different between these two compressors. However, the biggest difference is the used VCA. In the other compressor, I used the original DBX 202C Gold Can VCAs. I think that's correct. While this one has modern replacements for that VCA. And the difference is actually quite big. Now, honestly, I wouldn't make a quality judgment between the two. There is a lot of difference in sound, but they both sound very nice. And it's really, you know, the same as just having two different colors on your coloring palette when you're painting. And it's me here from the edit. I did a little bit of research about how the difference between these compressors are so big. And from what I could find is that it's not really the VCA that's going on. It more or less has to do with the rest of the circuit and, most importantly, the calibration of the different VCAs. One of the things that could have easily happened in this test is that the ratios weren't calibrated the same and thus doesn't match each other that well. So just so you all know, the differences between the VCAs is probably a lot smaller, and we should look at this as the differences between two different bus compressors, not the VCAs. The cool thing about this being a DIY compressor is that there are a lot of modifications available, and actually the people from DIY Recording Equipment sent me all the components to do all the modifications because I wanted to do them. However, upon further investigation, those modifications weren't really needed. The thing I was worried about a lot was the threshold. I wanted to modify the threshold to be able to work within the levels that I use in my studio. I use a bit lower levels because of the big amount of analog equipment that I have. And what I've noticed is that this threshold is actually calibrated very well, both for higher level workflows and for lower level workflows. So it's not really needed. And tampering with the threshold actually isn't the smartest in the first place. Another modification that I would really like to do is a true bypass. Right now you can only bypass the compressor and not the rest of it. Or, well, you can, but you have to press multiple buttons simply. But modifying this compressor into a true bypass basically changes the behavior of the transformer controls, and I don't really want that. So I just bypass it pressing multiple buttons as if it's multiple pieces of equipment. So yeah, honestly, the unique selling point of this thing isn't necessarily that it's a DIY compressor. It is because it's a very cool compressor with a few extra nice features. Definitely those transformers that are in there. I really like them. And since I've done the build and put it in my rack, I've been using it on, I think, every single production. It is a really helpful tool. Now, as always, for the disclosure, the people from DIY Recording Equipment sent me the kit to build this thing, and they don't want it back because they simply cannot do anything with it anymore because I've built this myself and they cannot guarantee it if they sell it to somebody else or whatever. And I'm happy to keep this thing in my studio. I know that this can look a bit biased or not fully independent. However, I only want to keep equipment in my studio that I really like to use because, spoiler alert, most of the time I'm in this studio mixing and mastering, and I don't want to be distracted by shitty equipment. So there has been more equipment that I didn't have to send back that you simply won't see in my studio because it just sucks. Now, I think it's fair enough, but if you all think it's not really fair to do such a thing, it's not independent enough, it's not unbiased enough, or whatever, then leave it in the comments down below and I'll just run a hammer through this thing and basically scrap it and, you know, create some e-waste out of this thing. I mean, it would be fun content, so yeah, let me know in the comments. I'll make sure to link to DIY Recording Equipment in the description down below. It's not an affiliate link, it's a direct link. So just, you know, check it out in the description down below. And down below are also my general affiliate links to Thomann, Sweetwater, and Plugin Boutique. And if you want to support the channel by purchasing your next equipment or plugin through one of these links, it's highly appreciated. So make sure to check those options out. Another way to support the channel is by becoming a channel member. You can do that using the join button down below. There's also a link down below. And as a channel member, you get early access to videos and access to playlists like this one. So make sure to check that out. Another way to support me is by simply watching my videos. So I'll link an interesting video over here. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep pushing and bye bye.